The USS Defiance flew deeper into the Omega Sector, a region of space that had been forbidden to all galactic civilizations for over 50,000 years. Captain Jake Morrison watched the main screen as they passed through clouds of strange energy and fields of twisted space. "Captain," said Ben Carter from his navigation station, "the space here is very different. My instruments are reading gravity wells that shouldn't exist and energy patterns I've never seen before." Dr. Patricia Hill was scanning everything around, them with growing amazement. "Captain, this entire region is filled with artificial structures. Someone built massive installations throughout this whole sector." "How big are we talking?" Jake asked. "Sir, I'm detecting space stations that are larger than Earth's moon, and there are hundreds of them." Lisa Brooks looked up from her science station with excitement. "Captain, these aren't just space stations. They're weapons platforms. Each one has enough firepower to destroy entire star systems." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Are they active?" "No, sir," Lisa replied. "Everything appears to be in some kind of sleep mode. The power systems are there, but they're not running." Alex Turner was studying the engineering readouts. "Captain, whoever built these things was incredibly advanced. The technology here makes our alien modifications look like stone tools." As they flew deeper into the forbidden sector, they discovered more and more evidence of an ancient super-civilization. There were massive rings around dead stars that looked like they could capture and store stellar energy. There were structures that seemed to bend space itself into useful shapes. There were machines floating in the void that were bigger than most planets. "Sir," said Samantha Price from Communications, "I'm picking up some kind of automated signal. It's very faint, but it seems to be coming from that large station directly ahead." Jake looked at the main screen. In front of them was a space station that looked like a metal city floating in space. It had towers that stretched for hundreds of miles and docking bays that could hold entire fleets of ships. "Any signs of life?" Jake asked. "None that I can detect," Lisa replied. "But the station does have some kind of low-level power running through it." Danny Walsh appeared on the bridge, wiping grease from his hands. "Captain, I've been monitoring our new systems, and they're reacting to something in this area. It's like they recognize the technology here." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Well, sir, remember that the alien tech we salvaged was really old. Maybe it came from the same people who built all this stuff." Dr. Hill nodded thoughtfully. "That would explain why our modifications work so well. We might be using technology that was designed by the same civilization that created these weapons." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Danny, do you think you could get any of this ancient technology working?" Danny grinned. "Captain, I once fixed a broken toaster using parts from a microwave and a car battery. Give me a few hours with those alien super machines and I'll have them running like new." "Sir," Dr. Hill said with concern, "we should be very careful. These weapons were forbidden for a reason. They might be too dangerous to activate." "Doc," Danny replied, "dangerous is just another word for powerful. And right now, we've got an alien fleet waiting for us outside this sector. We might need all the power we can get." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew had already proven that they could make impossible things work. Maybe they could handle ancient superweapons too. "All right, Danny. Take a team and see what you can learn. But be careful. If anything looks like it might explode, you come right back." 3 hours later, Danny and Alex were floating through the corridors of the ancient space station. The place was enormous and filled with technology that neither of them understood. But Danny had brought along some of the alien devices they had salvaged, and they seemed to be reacting to the ancient machines. "Look at this," Alex said, pointing to a wall covered in glowing symbols. These controls are responding to our presence. Danny was examining what looked like a massive power core. Alex, I think this thing is some kind of energy converter. It takes power from stars and turns it into something else. They moved deeper into the station, finding room after room of incredible machines. There were devices that seemed to control gravity, machines that could manipulate time, and computers that appeared to be made of pure energy. Danny, Alex said, I think I understand how this place works. All of these machines are connected to a central control system. If we could figure out how to access it, we might be able to control the entire station. Danny pulled out one of their salvaged alien devices and connected it to what looked like a control panel. Immediately, the ancient machines began to wake up. Lights flickered on throughout the station, and a low humming sound filled the air. Danny to Captain Morrison, he called over his radio. Sir, you're not going to believe this, but I think I just turned on an ancient alien weapons platform. Back on the Defiance, Jake watched as the massive space station came to life. Energy flowed through structures that had been dark for thousands of years. Weapons that could destroy planets slowly turned toward empty space, as if testing their movement. Captain, said Lisa with amazement, the power output from that station just increased by a factor of 10,000. Whatever Danny did, it worked. Sir, reported Ben, I'm detecting similar activations throughout the sector. It looks like turning on one station activated them all. Jake looked at the tactical display. Hundreds of ancient weapons platforms were coming online around them. Each one had enough firepower to take on entire fleets. Danny, Jake called over the radio, please tell me you can control these things. Well, sir, Danny replied, the good news is that the control systems are responding to our alien technology. The bad news is that I'm not entirely sure what all these buttons do. Dr. Hill looked at her readings with growing concern. Captain, these weapons are designed to operate on a galactic scale. They're not just meant to fight ships. They're meant to fight entire civilizations. Sir, Alex called, from the ancient station, I think I've figured out the basic controls. The ancient aliens built these weapons to defend against something really terrible. The whole sector is designed to be one giant fortress. Jake thought about the implications. His crew had not only found ancient superweapons, they had figured out how to turn them on. The alien enforcement fleet waiting outside the sector had no idea what they were about to face. Captain, said Samantha, I'm receiving a transmission from Admiral Voresh. He's demanding that we surrender immediately. Jake smiled. Tell the Admiral that we're having some technical difficulties and we'll be with him shortly. Sir? Danny called from the ancient station. I've been experimenting with these control systems, and I think I can integrate some of this technology into our ship. We could become even more advanced than we already are. Do it, Jake ordered. Let's see how much more impossible we can become. As Danny began connecting ancient alien super technology to their already modified ship, the USS Defiance became something that the galaxy had never seen before. They were no longer just a human warship with alien modifications. They were now connected to the most advanced weapons network ever created. Outside the forbidden sector, Admiral Voresh waited, with growing impatience. He had no idea that the humans were about to emerge with the power of an entire ancient civilization at their command. Admiral Voresh of the Stellar Enforcement Division stood on the command deck of his flagship, staring at the reports that covered every screen around him. Each report told the same impossible story. A human ship was breaking every law of space, travel that the galaxy had established over millions of years. Show me the sensor recordings again, Voresh ordered his science officer. The alien officer, a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms, activated the main display. "Sir, this is from the Kepler station incident 3 days ago. The screen showed the USS Defiance approaching a heavily defended alien space station. The station's shields were up and ready for battle. But instead of attacking or retreating, the human ship simply passed through the shields like they weren't there." "How is this possible?" Voresh asked. "Unknown, sir. The human ship appears to be phasing its molecular structure. It becomes briefly non-solid, passes through any barrier, then becomes solid again." Voresh's tentacles twitched with frustration. "And the speed measurements?" Another officer spoke up. "Sir, the human vessel has been recorded traveling at velocities that exceed our fastest ships by 300%. They're moving faster than light without using any known propulsion method." "That's impossible," Voresh said. "No ship can travel that fast without tearing itself apart." "Yes, sir. That's what our physics tell us. But the humans seem to have ignored our physics completely." Voresh looked at the reports from 12 different star systems. In each one, the human ship had done something that should have been impossible. They had bent space around their vessel. They had manipulated time itself. They had accessed dimensions that most races didn't even know existed. "Prepare the fleet," Voresh ordered. "I want our 12 most advanced warships ready for immediate departure." "Sir, where are we going?" "We're going to find this human ship and put an end to their violations of cosmic law." Meanwhile, aboard the USS Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison was having the time of his life. His ship was performing better than he had ever dreamed possible, and his crew was discovering new capabilities every day. "Captain," called Samantha Price from her communications station, "I'm picking up some interesting chatter on the alien networks." "What kind of chatter?" Jake asked. "Well, sir, it seems like we've made quite an impression on the galactic community. The aliens are calling us everything from impossible to terrifying." Danny Walsh laughed from his engineering station. "Terrifying? We're just flying around having fun with our new toys." Dr. Patricia Hill looked less amused. "Captain, I've been analyzing our recent activities, and I'm starting to understand why the aliens are concerned. We've been doing things that their science says should kill us. But we're not dead," Alex Turner pointed out. "In fact, everything is working great." "That's exactly the problem," Dr. Hill said. "We're proving that their understanding of physics is incomplete." Ben Carter looked up from his navigation console. "Captain, I've been experimenting with our new drive systems. I think I can plot a course that takes us through what the aliens call forbidden space." "Forbidden space?" Jake asked. "According to the alien charts, there are areas of the galaxy that are too dangerous for any ship to enter. But with our modifications, I think we could go there safely." Jake was about to respond when Lisa Brooks called out from her science station. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships approaching our position. Big ships." The main screen showed 12. Massive alien warships dropping out of hyperspace around them. Each ship was sleek and advanced, bristling with weapons and shields. "Incoming transmission," Samantha reported. "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. Admiral Voresh appeared on the display. He was the intimidating alien with gray skin and sharp teeth. His uniform was covered in symbols that Jake didn't recognize. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Voresh of the Stellar Enforcement Division. You are ordered to shut down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Jake smiled calmly. "Admiral, I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Defiance. Is there a problem?" "Captain Morrison, your ship has violated 17 cosmic laws in the past month. You have used forbidden technologies, traveled through restricted space, and operated your vessel in ways that threaten the stability of local space-time. Admiral, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're just flying our ship. Voresh's eyes grew angry. Captain, your ship phase shifts through solid matter. It travels faster than our most advanced vessels. It manipulates gravity and time. These abilities are classified as Class Omega technologies, forbidden to all species in this galaxy. Danny leaned over to Jake and whispered, "Should I tell him that we figured all that stuff out by accident?" Jake shook his head slightly and turned back to the screen. Admiral, we've never heard of these cosmic laws you're talking about. Earth isn't part of your galactic government. That does not matter, Voresh replied. These laws exist to protect all life. Your reckless use of advanced technology could tear holes in reality itself. Sir, Lisa whispered to Jake, our sensors show that their weapons are charging. Jake looked at his crew. They had been having so much fun with their new capabilities that they hadn't really thought about the consequences. But now they were surrounded by 12 warships that wanted to arrest them for crimes they didn't know they were committing. Admiral, Jake said, we appreciate your concern, but we're not going to surrender our ship. Then you force us to take action, Voresh replied. All ships, prepare to fire warning shots. Captain, Danny said quietly, I've been working on some new defensive modifications. Want to see what they can do? Do it, Jake ordered. Danny activated the ship's new defensive systems. The alien modifications had created shields that could do more than just absorb energy. They could bend space around the ship, making it appear to be in multiple places at once. The alien fleet fired their warning shots, but the energy beams passed harmlessly through empty space. The Defiance appeared to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Impossible, Voresh shouted. How are they doing that? Unknown, sir, his science officer replied. Our sensors can't get a lock on their position. Captain, Ben said to Jake, I can plot an escape course that takes us through that forbidden space I mentioned earlier. Do it, Jake ordered. Let's see what's so dangerous about forbidden space. The Defiance suddenly accelerated to impossible speeds, leaving the alien fleet behind. Ben's navigation took them toward a region of space that no alien ship had entered for thousands of years. Sir, one of Voresh's officers reported, they're heading directly for the Omega sector. Voresh felt a chill run through his body. The Omega sector? That's where the ancient civilization hid their most dangerous weapons. No ship has survived entering that region. Should we follow them, sir? Voresh stared at the screen where the human ship had disappeared. These humans had already done a dozen impossible things. Maybe they could survive in forbidden space, too. No, he said finally. We wait here. If they survive the Omega sector, we'll be ready for them when they come out. But deep down, Voresh was starting to suspect that the humans would not only survive the forbidden space, they would probably find a way to make it better. 3 weeks earlier, the USS Defiance had been cruising through empty space on a routine patrol mission. Captain Jake Morrison was reading reports in his quarters when the alarm sounded throughout the ship. Captain to the bridge came Lisa Brooks, voice over the communication system. She sounded excited. Jake hurried to the bridge and found his crew staring at the main screen. In front of them floated the remains of a massive alien spacecraft. The ship was easily 5 times bigger than the Defiance, but it was clearly damaged and dead in space. How long has it been here? Jake asked. Ben Carter checked his instruments. According to the radiation decay, I'd say about 10,000 years, maybe more. Dr. Patricia Hill was scanning the wreck with her sensors. Captain, this ship is incredibly advanced. The hull material alone is beyond anything Earth has ever produced, and I'm detecting intact power systems deep inside. Any life signs? Jake asked. None, Lisa replied. Whatever happened here, it happened a long time ago. Jake studied the alien vessel. It was shaped like a giant triangle with curved edges. Strange symbols covered the hull, and he could see massive weapons that had been twisted and broken by some ancient battle. Danny, what do you think? Jake called to his chief engineer. Danny Walsh was already putting on his spacesuit. Captain, I think we need to take a closer look. That ship might have technology that could help Earth. Dr. Hill looked worried. Captain, we should be careful. We don't know what kind of weapons or defenses that ship might still have. The ship's been dead for 10,000 years, Doc, Alex Turner said as he checked his own spacesuit. I doubt anything dangerous is still working. Jake made his decision. Danny, Alex, take a small team and investigate, but be careful. If anything looks dangerous, you come right back. An hour later, Danny and Alex were floating through the corridors of the alien ship. Their flashlights cut through the darkness as they explored room after room of strange technology. Look at this, Alex said, pointing his light at a wall covered in glowing crystals. These things are still putting out power after all this time. Danny was examining what looked like a control panel. Alex, come look at this. I think these are power couplings, but they're 10 times more efficient than anything we have. They moved deeper into the ship, finding room after room of incredible technology. There were computers that seemed to be made of liquid metal, weapons that looked like they could cut through planets, and engines that were bigger than their entire ship. Danny, Alex said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Danny grinned. You bet I am. Some of this stuff might actually work with our systems. They spent 6 hours exploring the alien wreck. When they returned to the Defiance, they brought back detailed scans and several small pieces of alien technology. Dr. Hill examined the alien devices with growing concern. Captain, these power cores operate on principles I don't understand. The energy output is incredible, but I can't figure out how they work without blowing up. Danny was more optimistic. Doc, you're thinking too hard. Look, these connectors here are almost the same size as our plasma couplings. If we just modify them a little bit, they should fit right into our engine systems. Danny, you can't just connect alien technology to our reactors, Dr. Hill protested. The energy differential alone could cause a cascade failure. Or, Danny said with a smile, it could make our engines run better than they ever have before. Jake listened to the debate between his science officer and his engineer. Dr. Hill was worried about safety and following proper procedures. Danny wanted to experiment and see what was possible. What's the worst that could happen? Jake asked. Doctor. Hill looked at him seriously. The ship could explode. The alien technology could overload our systems and kill us all. Danny shrugged. Or we could end up with the most advanced ship in human space. Jake thought about it for a moment. Earth was behind the other galactic civilizations in technology. If they could learn from this alien wreck, it might help humanity catch up. Danny, start small. Try connecting one of those power cores to a secondary system. If it works, we'll try something bigger. The first experiment was with the ship's communications array. Danny carefully connected one of the small alien power cores to their radio systems. Instead of exploding, the communication suddenly became incredibly powerful. Samantha Price discovered she could now send messages across the entire star system. Instantly. It works, Danny said with excitement. The alien power core is boosting our signal strength by a factor of 50. Encouraged by this success, Danny tried connecting alien computers to their navigation systems. Ben Carter found that he could now calculate jump coordinates with perfect accuracy, and the calculations happened almost instantly. "This is incredible," Ben said. "It's like having a supercomputer doing all the math." One by one, Danny began integrating alien technology into their ship's systems. He connected alien processors to their main computer, alien sensors to their detection grid, and alien power cores to their engines. Dr. Hill watched nervously as each modification was completed. "Danny, you're combining technologies that were never meant to work together. This could be very dangerous." But everything worked perfectly. The alien technology seemed to improve every system it touched. The ship became faster, stronger, and more capable than any human vessel had ever been. Alex Turner made the biggest discovery in the alien engineering section. He found a set of devices that seemed to manipulate gravity itself. "Captain," Alex called over the radio, "you need to see this. I think these are some kind of space-bending machines." Danny examined the devices and got very excited. "Alex, if we could connect these to our engine systems, we might be able to travel faster than light without using jump gates." "Is that possible?" Jake asked. "According to everything we know about physics, no," Dr. Hill said. "But then again, nothing we've done today should have been possible either." Danny spent 2 days figuring out how to connect the alien gravity manipulators to their engines. When he finally activated the system, the entire ship vibrated with a strange humming sound. "Engines online," Danny reported. "Captain, I think we can now travel at speeds that shouldn't be possible." Ben Carter ran the calculations. "Sir, if Danny's modifications work the way I think they do, we can travel from here to Earth in 3 hours instead of 3 weeks. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew had transformed their ordinary military ship into something extraordinary. They had taken alien technology that was thousands of years old and made it work with human systems through creativity and determination. "All right," Jake said. "Let's take her for a test run." What none of them knew was that they had just broken every rule the galaxy had about technology and space travel. They had combined systems that alien civilizations considered too dangerous to use. They had created a ship that could do things that terrified the most advanced races in known space. But they were about to find out. Captain Jake Morrison stared at the main screen of his ship. 3 alien vessels floated in front of them, each one 10 times bigger than his own warship. The aliens had been chasing them for 5 days now, and Jake was getting tired of running. "Sir, they're sending another message," said Lisa Brooks from her station. She was the science officer on the USS Defiance, and she looked worried. "The alien leader wants to talk to you again." Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. "Put him on screen." The face of Ambassador Zektar appeared on the viewing screen. The alien looked like a giant lizard with too many eyes. His voice was deep and angry when he spoke. "Captain Morrison, you will stop your ship and prepare to be boarded. Your vessel has broken 17 laws of space travel. This cannot continue." Jake smiled and crossed his arms. "Ambassador, I keep telling you, we haven't broken any laws. We're just flying our ship the way humans always fly ships." The alien's eyes grew wider. "Impossible! Your ship moves faster than light without using jump gates. You phase through solid matter. You bend space and time around your vessel. These things are forbidden to all races in the galaxy." "Well," Jake said with a shrug, "nobody told us they were forbidden." Behind the alien leader, Jake could see other aliens talking quickly to each other. They looked scared and confused. Jake understood why. His ship was doing things that should have been impossible. 2 months ago, the USS Defiance had been a normal. Earth military ship. It had normal engines, normal weapons, and normal shields. But then they found the alien wreck. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh walked onto the bridge. He was a big man with dirty hands and a wide smile. "Captain, I've got those new power readings you wanted. The ship is running at 300% normal capacity, and everything looks good." Lisa turned in her chair. "Danny, how is that even possible? Our reactors weren't designed to handle that much power." Danny laughed. "Lisa, you worry too. Much. I just made a few small changes to the engine room. Nothing major." Jake knew that Danny's small changes had turned their ship into something the galaxy had never seen before. The engineer had a gift for making impossible things work. "Captain Morrison," the alien ambassador said, his voice getting louder, "your engineer has combined technologies that should destroy each other. Your ship should have exploded weeks ago. How are you still alive?" "Lucky, I guess," Jake said, but he knew it wasn't luck. It was human stubbornness and creativity. The story had started 3 months ago when they found the wreck of an ancient alien battleship floating in empty space. The ship was huge and obviously very old. Most of its hull was broken, but the important parts were still intact. Alex Turner, the ship's mechanic, had been the first one to go inside the wreck. He came back with his eyes shining with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," Alex had said. "This ship has power cores that could run our engines for 1,000 years, and the computer systems are incredible." Dr. Patricia Hill, the ship's physicist, had been less excited. "Captain, we shouldn't touch any of that technology. We don't understand how it works. It could be dangerous." But Danny Walsh had disagreed. "Doc, danger is just another word for adventure. Besides, look at these power couplings. They'll fit right into our reactor housing if we just bend them a little." Jake had made the decision to salvage what they could from the alien wreck. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Earth needed better technology, and here was a ship full of it just floating in space. What happened next had surprised everyone. The aliens had rules about everything. They had rules about how fast ships could go, how much power they could use, and what technologies could be combined. Humans didn't know about these rules, so they ignored them completely. Danny had taken the alien power cores and connected them to the human reactor using spare parts and creative thinking. Dr. Hill had predicted disaster, but the system worked perfectly. Alex had found alien computers and connected them to the ship's main systems using cables and connectors that weren't supposed to work together. The result was a computer network that could process information faster than anything in the galaxy. Ben Carter, the ship's navigator, had discovered that the new systems could plot courses through dimensions that didn't officially exist. He could make the ship appear in one place, disappear, and then appear somewhere else completely. Samantha Price, the communications officer, had learned that she could hack into alien networks by treating their security systems like video games. To her, alien encryption was just another puzzle to solve. The aliens on the screen were talking to each other again. Jake could see fear in their strange faces. "Captain," Ambassador Zektar said finally, "your ship violates the natural order of the universe. You are using technologies that were banned for good reasons. You could tear holes in reality itself." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was calm and confident. They had been doing impossible things for weeks now, and everything was working fine. "Ambassador, I think you're worrying too much. Our engineer knows what he's doing." Danny grinned. "That's right, Captain. I've been fixing impossible things since I was 12 years old. This alien stuff is just bigger and more colorful than usual." The alien leader's voice became desperate. "Captain Morrison, you must understand. There are laws that govern how technology can be used. These laws exist to protect all life in the galaxy. Your ship is a threat to everything we have built." Jake thought about that for a moment. The aliens had built a galaxy where everything followed strict rules. Ships could only go so fast. Weapons could only be so powerful. Technology could only be combined in approved ways. But humans had never been good at following rules they didn't understand. "Ambassador," Jake said, "maybe your laws are the problem. Maybe instead of making rules about what can't be done, you should try figuring out what can be done." The alien's eyes grew even wider. "That kind of thinking is exactly why your species is dangerous." "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "I'm detecting more ships approaching. It looks like they brought reinforcements." Jake looked at the tactical display. 12 more alien warships were coming toward them. Each one was bigger and more advanced than the ships already here. "Well," Jake said, "looks like they really want to have a conversation." Danny rubbed his hands together. "Captain, I've been working on some new modifications to our defensive systems. Want to see if they work?" Jake smiled. His crew had turned an ordinary human warship into something that scared the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They had done it using creativity, stubbornness, and a complete disregard for the word impossible. "Do it, Danny. Let's show our new friends what humans can really do." The battle was no longer a battle. It had become a lesson in what happened when someone made humanity angry and gave them time to plan their response. Captain Lisa Carter watched from the bridge of the EDF Retribution as the last group of alien ships tried to escape. Her weapons officer looked at her with a question in his eyes. They could destroy the fleeing vessels easily. One shot from their quantum cannons would turn the entire group into space dust. "Let them go," Lisa ordered. "Someone needs to survive to tell the story." The weapons officer nodded and powered down the targeting system. Lisa was not cruel, and she was not stupid. Dead enemies couldn't warn others to stay away from human space. But terrified enemies who had seen humanity's true power would spread that fear across the galaxy. On the alien command ship, Supreme Admiral Thexani knelt on the floor of his bridge, surrounded by the bodies of officers who had died when the human neural weapons hit their ship. He was one of the few aliens still conscious, and he wished he wasn't. Being awake meant he had to face what was happening to his once mighty fleet. Jake Morrison stood over the fallen alien leader, no longer the weak prisoner he had pretended to be for 25 years. His old body was still frail, but his eyes burned with satisfaction. He had waited so long for this moment that it felt like a dream. "Do you want to know something funny?" Jake asked in perfect Zalathi. "You could have avoided all of this. If you had just left human space alone, we would have left you alone too. We're not conquerors like you. We just want to be safe." Thexani looked up at the human with confusion in his crystal eyes. "Then why did you build such terrible weapons?" "Because you taught us we had to," Jake replied. "Every species you destroyed, every world you conquered, every prisoner you took showed us what kind of enemy we were facing. So we prepared for the worst." A new voice filled the bridge as Captain Carter's communication reached them. "This is the EDF Retribution to the Zalathi command vessel. Prepare to be boarded. We're coming to collect our pilot." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. After 25 years of captivity, he was finally going home. 10 minutes later, the walls of the alien bridge exploded inward as human soldiers cut through the hull. They moved like ghosts in their advanced armor, weapons ready but not firing. They had come to rescue, not to kill. The squad leader removed his helmet, revealing a young, man with kind eyes and a determined expression. "Commander Morrison?" he asked. Jake straightened his bent back and tried to stand at attention, even though his old legs shook with the effort. "That's me, soldier." "Sir, I'm Lieutenant Kevin Ross, 1st Rescue Battalion. We're here to take you home." Jake nodded, not trusting his voice to speak without breaking. He had imagined this moment so many times over the years that he couldn't quite believe it was real. 2 soldiers helped Jake walk toward the hole in the alien ship's wall. As they reached the opening, Jake turned back to look at Thexani 1. "Last time. You know what your biggest mistake was?" Jake asked the broken alien leader. "You thought capturing me was a victory, but what you really did was give humanity a symbol to fight for. Every human who worked on the weapons that destroyed your fleet was thinking about the pilot who gave his freedom to warn Earth. You turned me into something more powerful than any ship or weapon." "What's that?" Thexani whispered. "Hope," Jake said simply. The human soldiers carried Jake through the void between ships, their armor protecting him from the cold of space. When they reached the Retribution, Jake felt gravity and warmth surrounding him for the first time in decades. The human ship felt like coming back to life. Captain Carter was waiting for him in the docking bay. She was younger than Jake had expected, but her eyes held the wisdom of someone who had spent years preparing for war. When she saw the old pilot, she stood at attention and saluted. "Commander Morrison, welcome aboard the EDF Retribution. Permission to take you home, sir?" Jake tried to return the salute, but his arms were too weak. Instead, he just smiled. "Permission granted, Captain. Let's go home." As the human fleet prepared to leave the solar system, Jake was taken to the ship's medical bay. The doctors were amazed that he had survived 25 years of alien captivity. They said his body was worn out, but his mind was still sharp. While the doctors worked, Jake asked Captain Carter to visit him. He had questions that had been burning in his mind for decades. "How long have you been following them?" he asked. "Since 6 months after your capture," Carter replied. "The quantum beacon you activated didn't just send a distress signal. It created a link between your ship and Earth that our computers could track through space and time. We've been watching the alien fleet ever since." "Why didn't you attack sooner?" Carter smiled. "Because we weren't ready sooner. When you were captured, Earth's most advanced warship would have been destroyed in seconds by alien technology. We needed time to learn, to grow, to become strong enough to win." Jake thought about this for a moment. "So my 25 years in prison gave us 25 years to prepare," Carter finished. "Every day you survived gave us another day to build better weapons, train better soldiers, develop better strategies. You didn't just warn us that the enemy was coming. You bought us the time we needed to become strong enough to defeat them." Over the next few days, as the human fleet traveled back toward Earth, Jake learned about everything that had changed while he was gone. Humanity had not just built better weapons, they had become a completely different civilization. The threat of alien invasion had united every nation on Earth. There were no more wars between humans, no more arguments about borders or resources. Every person on the planet had worked together toward one goal: make sure that when the aliens came, humanity would be ready. Scientists had made discoveries that advanced human technology by centuries. Engineers had built ships that could bend space and time. Soldiers had trained in tactics that no human military had ever imagined, all because one pilot had been brave enough to press a button before his capture. When they finally reached Earth, Jake saw his home world for the first time in 25 years. It looked different. The orbital stations were bigger and more advanced. Ships moved through space with impossible grace. Humanity had not just survived his absence. They had used his sacrifice to become something greater. As the Retribution entered Earth's atmosphere, Jake watched through the window as crowds gathered to welcome him home. They held signs with his name and picture. Children who had been born after his capture wore shirts with his face on them. He had become a symbol of human determination and courage. But Jake knew the truth. He wasn't a hero. He was just a pilot who had done his job and paid the price for it. The real heroes were the people who had spent 25 years turning his warning into humanity's salvation. The ship landed, and Jake was helped down the ramp into the warm air of Earth. For the first time in 25 years, he was truly free. As he stood there, surrounded by cheering crowds and flying cameras, Jake looked up at the sky where the alien fleet had been destroyed. He thought about Supreme Admiral Thexani and the few alien ships that had escaped. They would carry word of humanity's power to every corner of the galaxy. Other alien species would hear the story and think carefully before threatening human space. They would learn that humanity was not weak or helpless. They would understand that attacking humans meant facing an enemy that would wait decades for the perfect moment to strike back. Jake Morrison had been a prisoner for 25 years, but his capture had taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all: never underestimate the patience of an angry human.